Tonight, we will be participating in different ways. One is by using reactions. Let's test that out now. Please locate the reaction button and use one. Awesome. You are free to do this tonight as long as it is appropriate to what is being discussed. You will also have the opportunity to have the mic in tonight's session as well. Please raise your hand to participate, and once called upon, you can unmute yourself. The final way you will be able to participate tonight is through the chat feature. Let's locate the chat feature and test it out now by answering this question for me. What are you hoping to learn about tonight? Please answer in the chat. You're welcome, Kara, for hosting this wonderful event. We're so excited you could join us this evening. We're going to have a great night together. So once again, make sure you're able to find that chat and go ahead and answer that question for us. What are you excited to learn more about tonight? Everything and more. I like that excitement. Awesome. So finally, if you have any technical issues or have a personal question, please directly message Dana, our co-host, in the chat. All right, let's get started. So what better way to kick off tonight than with our first guest speaker? Introducing Commissioner Kelli Saunders. Saunders currently works for the Small Business Association of Michigan, SBAM, as the Vice President of Policy and Engagement, where she leads government relations, coalition building, board coordination, day-to-day operations, event management, and member engagement. Prior to SBAM, she worked for the Edward Lowe Foundation as a senior executive specialist based out of Lansing. Additionally, Saunders worked in state government for 12 years. As the chief of staff for Lieutenant Governor Brian Kelly, she worked on complex legislative issues and built coalitions to help Michigan's most vulnerable citizens. Her work included supporting disability advocacy by developing the Michigan Hidden Talent Initiative, promoting teamwork in state government through the implementation of the Relentless Positive Traction 5K Run/Walk, and successfully fundraising for and planning the 2016 National Lieutenant Governors Association Summer Conference in Grand Rapids. Saunders also worked for Secretary of State Terry Lynn Land as her Director of Public Affairs, focusing on the Oregon Donor Registry and the Enhanced Driver License implementation. She lives in Byron Center and received her bachelor's degree from Aquinas College. So without further ado, let's give a warm Girl Scout welcome to Commissioner Kelli Saunders. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, and it's so nice to see all of you tonight. And I live on the opposite side of the state from all of you, so I am in the Grand Rapids region, but it's really nice to meet all of you. And I thought we might start with what the Women's Commission does. And so the Michigan Women's Commission is focused on going out into communities and hearing from the women of Michigan on what they care about. And then it's our job to bring that back and to focus on policy or ideas that they may have in order to make life better for women in Michigan. And so that is what we are tasked with when we are appointed to the Women's Commission by the governor. And I really loved the question that was put in by Anna Rose, but that's because I have a very unique story on how I got appointed to the Women's Commission. As Kelli said in my introduction, I was appointed back in 2009 to the Women's Commission for the first time by Governor Rick Snyder. And he served as a Republican in state government. And I worked for his running mate, Brian Kelly. And my first term was 3 years long. And then I submitted my paperwork essentially to get reappointed. And Governor Whitmer, who serves as a Democrat, reappointed me to the Women's Commission. It's really unusual to be appointed by two governors from two different parties to a commission. And why that's unusual is because usually you pick people from inside your respective political circles to be appointed to these commissions. But because of my work and my history in my work and how I work to bring people together, I was asked to serve. And so I am really grateful to both Governor Snyder and Governor Whitmer to see that I'm a collaborator and I like to bring people together, because no matter what party you're from, you should be working together to make sure that the state that we live in is the best state to live in, and that the policies that we have are the best policies in order to make sure that women in Michigan can go on and do whatever they want to do, and to make sure that there's not barriers to do so. So I feel really honored to serve on the Women's Commission. We do a lot of great work in childcare, making sure that families have access to childcare, that if they have deserts, essentially places that you live in, if there's no childcare to be found, how do we fix that in order for people to have that? And then all types of things like, is there something that when you go to work, you can't get to work? Maybe it's you don't have transportation and you need a car, or you need access to public transit. How can we help people overcome issues so that they can be their best selves and to go to work and do what they need to do in order to thrive? And so we do a lot of great things on the Women's Commission, and it's a lot of fun to serve. There's another question in the chat about how does the governor's office work? So I'll get to that in a second. I do have some experience there, and so I'm really glad that question was asked. But Kelli did a really nice job of outlining my biography. I spent a lot of time in state government. The first part of my career, I worked in elections, and so I worked for the Department of State, and I focused on campaign finance, which probably not. Does anybody know what campaign finance is? Oh, good. I love that, Kara. Awesome. So what that means is I worked in the Department of State as an almost like an analyst, and became an expert in that area on who can give to political campaigns and who can't. And I really made it my mission to learn the rules on who can accept money and who can't, how much they can give and how much they can't take. And so what I did during that time was really learn a lot about campaigns and how the state plays a role in making sure that people follow the rules, essentially, when they run for office. And that was a really cool thing to be a part of, because it made me stronger in how people run for office. And then when they get elected to office, how those two things have to stay separate. When you run for office, you are a candidate and you're out there and you see people at parades and they're shaking hands and they're doing fundraisers and everything. But when you get to political office or public office and you are the governor, or you serve in the Michigan House of Representatives, you can't be talking about taking money from people. It is about governing. And so you have to focus on policy areas and how do you develop good policy. You work on a budget and how to pass a budget. And so learning in the Department of State what you can and cannot do was really fun for me in the first part of my career. After I was done there, I actually got to work in the governor's office for 8 years. And it was an awesome experience. The thing about the governor's office is that you work on all the things. So think about a governor and everything they have to do. They are in charge of making sure public safety, that you're safe in your communities, is taken care of. They're making sure that your roads are paved and that they look good and you can get where you need to go. You are in charge of making sure that people are following the proper safety concerns within workplaces, with labor laws and all that good stuff. They're public health, making sure everybody has access to a doctor or a dentist. You're in charge of all of those things and making sure that the people of Michigan have the best life possible. That's a lot for a governor to focus on. And she's got, Governor Whitmer right now, she has all these different departments that she oversees and empowers people to lead those departments to make sure that we have the best life possible we can have here in Michigan. And so how does it work? There's a lot of people that work in that office that are experts in all these different areas, and they work together to make sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible. And so a day in the life in the governor's office is different every day because there are certain issues that come up every day that you have to tackle. And so for people who like to multitask and like excitement, the governor's office is the place to be because you get to learn about so many different things and you get to travel the state. You get to be in Southeast Michigan where you all, live, could be in Detroit one day, and the next day you could be in the Upper Peninsula in Marquette, focused on something completely different. And so that's the cool thing about working in the governor's office is that you get to learn Michigan as a whole, and you get to learn about a lot of different topics that you may have never thought of before. And so I was able to do that in my 8 years of working for Lieutenant Governor Kelli. And now today I get to work for the Small Business Association of Michigan. And my title is Vice President of Policy and Engagement. And so much like we talked about at the beginning of this talk, my job is to make sure that I work in a collaborative way with the governor's office, all those different departments I just talked about, and the legislature, so the Michigan House of Representatives and the Senate, to make sure that we make Michigan the best place for small businesses to thrive. And so we work on a whole bunch of things like tax policy and housing and childcare and workforce and making sure people have good educational attainment so that they can move on and do whatever they want to do with the best possible education that they could have. And so my job is a lot of fun. I get to work with small business owners who care about their communities, who care about their employees. And I get to take all that experience I had working in the governor's office, working with the legislature, and bringing people together to find and pass good, sound policy that makes sure that our communities are really strong. And so I think I have one of the best jobs in the world because it's really fun to work with people. Think about when you go to your downtown and you want to go get ice cream or you want to go to your favorite clothing shop. Those are the people that I get to work with every day and get to talk to make sure that they have the resources and the connections that they need in order to make sure that you can walk down those downtowns and have all those things. And so it's a really cool job. It's really fun. And I love that the Women's Commission and what I do walk hand in hand together because we're really focused on making sure that women who have small businesses are well equipped in order to live their dreams out and take care, like I said, of their employees and make sure that they're successful. So that's kind of in a nutshell what I do. I think I filled the time okay. And I really want to leave this time open to answer those questions. And I wasn't watching the chat while I was speaking, but it's really an honor to be here with you. And I'm so glad to see that you're involved in something like this because when you're young and you do things like the Girl Scouts, it's going to set you up to be so involved in your respective communities and with other people to find out how you can do whatever you want to do, take it to the next level. You're going to learn really great communication skills. You're going to get to meet a lot of people through series like this that you may never have had the opportunity to meet before. And I just encourage you to really continue to be involved in things like that, like this, because it's going to take you a really long way. And the Girl Scouts I'm sure you all know, is an awesome organization to be a part of. And I did see something in the chat. Were you a Girl Scout? I wasn't. I wish I was. So I don't know if it's too late. I think I'm too old for it now, but I really wish I would have when I was growing up. So I will end there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Commissioner Saunders. We did have a couple more questions pop into the chat. What is your favorite part about your job, and what is the least favorite part about your job?
That's a good question. My favorite part about my job is that I get to work with people who care about Michigan like I do. And I really love living here. I love how diverse it is, from the people to um, the kind of businesses we have throughout Michigan, how you can be in a city one day and at the beach the next, like that. We have the best state in the entire country. My least favorite is when people are not willing to be open-minded of somebody who thinks differently than them. And so when you work in policy and politics, I'm sure you've seen, because it's an election year, people fight a lot and they call names, and it's really disheartening because we don't have to treat each other that way. What we need to do is to be open to hear what people think that don't think like us. And it's okay to disagree, but we should respect each other enough to understand why that person believes what they do. And it could be because of a life experience. It could be because of the way that they were raised. It could be because they have that personal experience. And so what's most frustrating for me sometimes is, instead of people listening, they're already ready to respond. And so we need to listen to each other more.
Thank you so much. We have two more questions and then we'll close it out there. Is there a term limit?
To the my appointment, then? Is that the question?
Let's see, Rain, can you clarify your question a little bit? Is there a term limit for her position, for the governor's position?
Is there a term limit to like work for the governor?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question, Rain. Normally, when you work for the governor, you are essentially hired and appointed to your position for as long as the governor is in their respective position. So when I worked for Lieutenant Governor Kelli, my job was only secured through the end of his term limit. And then I was done when Governor Whitmer and Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist came into office. So that is normally how it happens. If somebody who was working for a governor, that governor's term ended, if the next governor wanted to hire that person, they could. It would just have to kind of start over. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And jumping into the last question, this one comes from Anna. Is it hard to multitask with difficult people?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, Anna. It is, because a lot of times everyone thinks that their issue is the most important and they want your attention. And what you have to do with whatever issue you're working on is you have to prioritize, and you have to decide, is this person's issue really that important, or is the other thing I'm working on more important? And when it comes to difficult people, what I found the best thing to do, even if someone is not kind to you, is to just be kind. It's okay to stick up for yourself and be firm and to make sure that you're being respectful, but there's no reason for anyone to ever treat you badly. But you can respond being kind to say, I respect what you're trying to say to me, but I have to focus on this right now. And I'd appreciate it if you would respect me doing so. And that usually sends a pretty good message. In dealing with difficult people, they'll pick up on that. So great question, Anna. It's hard, but if you try to stay level-headed and take a deep breath, you can usually handle it.
Well, thank you so much. I think that's an important lesson for all of us on this call this evening, and always something new that you can learn when dealing with new people. So thank you so much again, Commissioner Saunders, for joining us this evening. It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much for your time and dedication to attend this event with all of us this evening, and we hope you have a great weekend.
I hope you all have a great weekend too, and thanks for having me. And don't quit doing these types of things. you really will go far if you start integrating yourself into these types of programs. And who knows, one day you could end up working for a governor. I never thought I would, and maybe you'll be the governor. You never know. So take care, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so
Bye,
much. Take
Kelly.
care of yourself. Wonderful. Awesome. We're going to keep moving on to our next part of our event here. So this leads us to our topic for this evening. Tonight, we are going to explore being proud, your confidence and uniqueness shape the world. That is going to be our theme tonight. So to get started with that topic, we are going to start with an icebreaker. So icebreaker time. Right now, we're going to go ahead and take the time to grab a piece of paper and a writing utensil. So I'll give you a little bit of time to go ahead and make sure you have those two materials right next to you. An icebreaker question is going to appear on the screen. Please write down your response on your paper. And at the very end, we'll have the opportunity to share out our answers. So question number 1. A woman I admire now is, and why? Go ahead and take some time to write down your answer on your paper. A woman I admire now is, and why? We'll go ahead and move on to the next question, and if there's anything to add, you are more than welcome to along the way. Question number 2. What are my strengths? So as you think about this question, I want you to think about what are some things you excel at. Maybe it's problem solving. Maybe you're really creative. Maybe you're a good communicator. Or maybe you're a really good leader. Think about what are your strengths? What are some things that you excel at? Go ahead and take the time to write that on your paper. Question number 3, and again, you're more than welcome to add as we keep on going with the questions. What goals am I passionate about achieving? So think about your dreams and how you can set and work towards them with your determination. Moving on to question 4. What is a fun way you like to celebrate your victories, big or small? Awesome. We're going to jump to our last icebreaker question. Question 5. If you could start a movement or campaign for a cause you care about, what would it be? So consider how you might use your voice and passions to make a difference in the world. So if you could start a movement or campaign for a cause you care about, what might that be? Go ahead and jot down that answer on your paper. And as we're finishing up this last question, I'm going to give you all a chance to share out your responses, what you have written down on your icebreaker sheet. So I will pass the mic on over to you, whether or not you want to participate by raising your hand, or you can participate by sharing your responses in the chat. We'll just take a few minutes to have the opportunity to share out. Anybody want to share their responses? I see Anna has her hand raised. Anna, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and share your answers with us.
Okay. So for the first one, I admire my teacher because she got along with people really well. And when I was admiring her, like when I was admiring her, like she was sweet to everybody. She encouraged me and helped me a lot.
That's wonderful. Awesome. Moving on to question 2. What are your strengths?
My strengths are that I am kind, I'm curious, I'm pretty thoughtful about stuff. I'm pretty smart, and that's it.
Those sound like awesome strengths. How about question 3?
So I really want to be like a therapist or something like that when I grow up. I want that to be my job.
Wonderful. How about question 4?
I like to celebrate them big, and like one example is like going to a theme park.
That's a great way to celebrate. And how about this last one? Question 5.
So I was thinking like on the weekends, because people don't really do stuff on the weekends, you could go out and for an hour look for trash and pick it up whenever you have the time, but like just go out and pick up some trash, and the cause is for the environment.
I think that's a wonderful idea. When I'm driving to, lots of places, there's always seems like you can help take care of the environment and pick up the trash. Thank you so much, Anna, for sharing. Oh, one more thing to add? Go ahead.
And like just not trash too. Like it could be anything. Like if there is some food on the ground, or if there's like chocolate or like bad stuff that could hurt animals on the ground, you could pick it up.
Absolutely. I love that way of thinking. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to share with us. And then I think I saw Rain. Did you have your hand up?
Yes.
Awesome. Go ahead and share out with us.
So the first one I answered was, to the person I admire is Michelle Obama because she is nice, kind, loving, just like me. The second one is that I said I'm kind. My strengths are being kind, really good at math, and I'm a leader. And my third one was a millionaire and help others. And for my fourth one, I like to celebrate and when I get trophies and stuff really big. And for my fifth one, how I can help others is if they're having a hard time and they want to just like get out and exercise, but want to do it in a fun way, I could help with doing dance or swim.
Wonderful. Those sound like amazing ideas. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Let me make sure I didn't see anybody else's hand up. I think we got to everybody that wanted to share. Let me
We
check.
have Kara.
Oh, Kara,
Yes.
awesome. Thank you, Dana.
You're
Kara, go
welcome.
ahead and share out with us, please. You can go ahead and unmute.
Okay. So a woman I admire in my life is my mom because she has always guided me through life and like always awared me of what's good and what's bad for you. My strengths are problem solving, showing kindness, and being bold about myself.
Wonderful.
And to become a businesswoman, I need to get a degree in business and study the laws of it, and then I'll become a successful woman. And then a fun way to celebrate a big victory would just to help the environment, just like pick up trash, help like clean the ocean if I could find any trash.
Okay, I like that idea of the environment, just like Anna. Awesome.
And then a problem that I would help solve or try to help it is ocean pollution, because if people are going to throw trash in the ocean, like someone who eats jellyfish, like a turtle, can mistake a plastic bag for it and it gets stuck in their intestines and they get sick.
Mhm.
And they would have fewer population till they went extinct. So we don't want that to happen, just like with our beloved dinosaurs that were hit by a meteor.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much, Kara. I love always hearing when you share out and all your amazing ideas. Thank you so much. And let's see.
You're welcome.
Did I see anybody else's
Anna
hand?
Rose has her
Oh,
hand up.
Anna Rose.
I don't have specific answers, but Kara, if you want to talk more to Kelly about stuff, so she's vice president of the Small Business Association. And I know you said that you knew about fundraising for campaigns. If you want, I can let her know that you'd like to talk, and you two can email or have a call or something like that, if that's something you'd be interested in. Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, Anna Rose. Wonderful. Thank you all for sharing out. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next slide. So now that we have taken some time to reflect on our own individual strengths and uniqueness, we are going to explore notable women who have utilized their strengths and uniqueness to help shape the world throughout history. So fly like Amelia. Amelia Earhart was a pioneering aviator and a key figure in early aviation history. Born on July 24th, 1897, she is best known for her ambitious attempts to circumnavigate the globe. Earhart was the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean, making the historic flight on May 20 through 21st of 1932, and for this achievement, she reclaimed widespread acclaim. So all of these incredible women that we're going to explore tonight have an abundance of strengths. So we are going to highlight just a few of the many strengths for each of these women. Now, as we discuss each of these strengths, if these strengths are also some qualities that you have, I want you to take the time to add them to your icebreaker sheet. Or you might even think of some specific examples of how you have displayed these strengths in your own life. You can also write those examples down on your sheet. So maybe there was a time in your life that you showed a lot of courage and you have an example that you want to write down on your sheet. That would be a great time to add those as we learn about these incredible women's strengths. So let's look at just a few of Amelia Earhart's incredible strengths. So strength number 1, courage. Earhart's bravery was clear in her willingness to undertake challenging flights. such as her groundbreaking solo journey across the Atlantic Ocean in 1932. Strength number 2, leadership. As a leader in the aviation community, she took on roles such as the first female president of the 99s, which is an international organization of women pilots, which demonstrated her leadership and commitment to supporting fellow aviators. And strength number 3, public speaking and advocacy. Earhart used her platform to advocate for women's rights and encourage women to pursue careers in aviation and other fields. Fight like Dolores. Dolores Huerta is a prominent labor leader and civil rights activist known for her significant contributions to the labor movement and her advocacy for social justice. Huerta is a co-founder of the United Farm Workers and helped fight for better wages and working conditions. Let's take a look at just a few of her many strengths. And again, if you see any that stand out, make sure you jot them down on your sheet. Strength number 1, resilience. Despite both ethnic and gender bias, Huerta continued to help organize the 1965 Delano strike, which consisted of 5,000 grape workers. She served as the lead negotiator for the contracts of these workers. Strength number 2, organization. She is skilled in building coalitions and uniting diverse groups of people towards a common goal. And strength number 3, educational impact. Her dedication to educating others about labor rights, social justice, and civic engagement reflects her commitment to empowering future generations. Create like Shonda. Shonda Rhimes is a highly influential television producer, screenwriter, and author. She is best known for creating and producing several hit TV shows that have made a significant impact on the entertainment industry. So just some of her incredible strengths, just a few. She has so many other ones. Creativity, strength number 1. Crafting, engaging, and innovative storylines has set her apart as a leading creator in television. Strength number 2, advocacy and influence. Rhimes is known for advocacy for a more inclusive representation in media and for supporting the careers of other talented individuals in the industry. And strength number 3, impactful storytelling. Her work often includes social commentary and explores themes of identity, race, and gender, making her work both entertaining and thought-provoking. Discover like Marie. Marie Curie was a pioneering physicist and chemist whose groundbreaking research laid the foundation for much of modern-day science. Strengths. Strength number 1, trailblazing spirit. As a woman in a male-dominated field, Curie broke barriers and set new standards for women in science and paved the way for future generations of female scientists. Strength number 2, determination. Curie encountered numerous challenges, including gender biases in science and personal hardships, such as the death of her husband. And strength number 3, innovation. Her careful work with radioactive materials opened new fields of study and technology applications. Dance like Misty. Misty Copeland is a renowned American ballet dancer celebrated for her groundbreaking achievements in the world of ballet. Born on September 10, 1982, she became the first African American woman to be promoted to principal dancer at the American Ballet Theater, one of the most prestigious ballet companies in the United States, in 2015. Some of her many strengths. Strength number 1, artistic versatility. Copeland is known for versatility as a performer. She excels in both classical and contemporary ballet, bringing a new interpretation to a wide range of roles. Strength number 2, perseverance. Copeland began her ballet training relatively late compared to many of her peers. She started training around 13, which is considered late in the ballet world. Yet she excelled because of her talent and determination. And strength number 3, redefining beauty. Copeland's muscular build and strong physical presence has helped redefine beauty in ballet. Be brave like Malala. Malala is a Pakistani activist known for her advocacy of girls' education and women's rights. Born on July 12, 1997, in Megora, Pakistan, Malala gained international recognition for her courageous stand against the Taliban's efforts to deny education to girls in her home region of Swat Valley. Just a few of her many strengths. Strength number 1, compassion. Malala's work is driven by a deep empathy for others, especially for girls and women who face educational and social barriers. Her compassion fuels her advocacy and has helped her connect with diverse audiences. Strength number 2, bravery. Malala's bravery in speaking out for girls' education, despite facing personal danger for her beliefs, demonstrates remarkable courage. And strength number 3, Malala has spoken at numerous high-profile events, including the United Nations, where she delivered a powerful speech advocating for educational rights. Her influence extends beyond traditional activism into cultural and political beliefs. Junko Tabei was a pioneering Japanese mountaineer renowned for her remarkable achievements in climbing. Born on September 22, 1939 in Japan, she is best known for being the first woman to reach the summit of Mount Everest and the first woman to complete the 7 summits, which involves climbing the highest peak on each of the 7 continents. Let's take a look at some of her many strengths. Strength number 1, advocacy. By co-founding the Women's Alpine Club, Tabei was committed to supporting women in mountaineering. Her advocacy for gender equality in the sport was a significant aspect of her legacy. Strength number 2, environmental awareness. Her advocacy for environmental conservation reflected her understanding of the impact of climbing on natural ecosystems, highlighting her responsibility towards protecting mountain environments. And strength number 3, cultural impact. Her success has had significant cultural impact, particularly in Japan, where she inspired many women to pursue climbing and other challenging pursuits. Her story has also contributed to the global recognition of many female climbers. So before we move on to the next notable woman, I'd like to take the time to stop and ask all of you, is there any strengths that we have covered from these women, incredible women so far, that have stood out to you that maybe be a strength that you also have? Or have you been able to think of an example in your own life of how you've displayed one of these strengths. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it on over to all of you. Does anybody want to share out anything that's been added to their strength list or any examples? And once again, you can add those to the chat, or you can also go ahead and raise your hand. I see Anna, you have your hand raised. Go ahead and unmute and share out. What have you added to your sheet?
Okay, I added a lot.
Wonderful. Let's hear them. What did you add?
Okay, so the first original ones was kind, curious, and thoughtful. And then I added resilient, like influencing, I think, courageous, like filled with spirit, creative. I'm pretty good at public speaking. I'm usually determined, and I have compassion.
Those sound like some great strengths that you added to your list. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. And I
You're
also
welcome.
see Kara, you have your hand up as well. Kara, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and share out with us. What have you added to your list?
One thing I've added to my list is environmental awareness.
Awesome.
And another thing I added, I'm just like Anna said, I'm very good at public speaking. I like to do it as a hobby. That's how much I like it.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. And we also have, let's see, we had some added from Stephanie and Evelyn from Troop 76800 in chat. Courage, bravery, and creative, like Shonda Rhimes. Wonderful. Sounds like we added some great additional strengths to our list. Thank you all for sharing. We're going to go on to our next notable woman. Inspire like Greta. Greta Thunberg is a Swedish environmental activist who has gained global recognition for her efforts to combat climate change. Born on January 3, 2003, Thunberg became a prominent figure in the environmental movement through her advocacy for urgent action to address the climate crisis. Let's take a look at some of her many strengths. Strength number 1, youth leadership. As a young activist, Thunberg represents the voice of a new generation concerned about the future of the planet. Her leadership has empowered other young people to take action and engage in climate advocacy. Strength number 2, embracing personal challenges. Thunberg has been open about her personal challenges, including her diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome, which she refers to as her superpower. And strength number 3, communication. Thunberg's ability to communicate complex climate issues clearly and passionately has made her a compelling and influential speaker. Send a message like Amanda. Amanda Gorman is an American poet and activist known for her powerful and impactful poetry. Born on March 7, 1998 in Los Angeles, California, she has gained widespread recognition for her work, particularly for her role in major national events and her issues and her advocacy on social and political issues. Take a look at some of her many strengths. Strength number 1, youthful perspective. As a young poet, Gorman brings a new perspective to current issues. Her voice reflects the experiences and dreams of her generation, making her work relevant with younger audiences. Strength number 2, social justice commitment. She uses her platform to address crucial issues such as racial inequality, climate change, and gender justice. And strength number 3, public speaking. Her presence and delivery connect with a wide audience, enhancing her ability to make a memorable impact in a variety of settings. Write like Maya. Maya Angelou was an acclaimed American writer, poet, and civil rights activist. Her work has had a profound impact on literature and social justice, and she is celebrated for her contributions to both fields. Let's take a look at some of her many strengths. Strength number 1, writing style. Angelo's use of visuals, language, and emotional depth in her writing made her work compelling and memorable. Strength number 2, impactful voice. Angelo's role as an activist and advocate for civil rights amplified her literary impact, making her a leading voice in both social justice and literature. And strength number 3, diverse experiences. Angelo's early life was marked by significant hardships, including poverty and mistreatment. Despite these challenges, she became a profound writer and influential figure. Her diverse experiences informed much of her work. Pave the way like Sonia. Sonia Sotomayor is the first Latina to serve on the nation's highest court. Her judicial decisions often reflect her deep understanding of issues related to civil rights, social justice, and the rule of law. Let's take a look at some of her many strengths. Strength number 1, diverse background. Her personal experiences growing up in a diverse and economically disadvantaged environment contribute to her compassionate approach to the law. She emphasizes the real-world impact of judicial decisions on ordinary people. Strength number 2, leading achievement. As the first Latina appointed to the Supreme Court, Sonia represents a significant milestone in the representation of diverse backgrounds in the highest levels of the judicial branch. And strength number 3, community engagement. She is known for her engagement with the community, including her work with education initiatives and her advocacy for underrepresented groups. All right, we're going to get ready for our next guest speaker, our second guest speaker of the evening. So introducing Sumaiya Ahmed Sheikh is the head of engagement in the appointments division for the executive office of Governor Gretchen Whitmer. She comes from a long history of community service, political strategy, marketing and communications, and civic engagement. In 2022, she was named to Oakland County 40 Under 40. Prior to joining the executive office of Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Sumaiya served as the Michigan Director of Campus Vote Project, where she helped institutionalize student voter education and organization across Michigan's 98 campuses. She has served in a variety of roles where she helped organize and coordinate community-based events on both a national and local level, built relationships through interfaith work and collective collaboration, worked directly with media-based outlets to advance voices of American Muslims and the interfaith community, and collaborated to improve the structure of nonprofit organizations in Michigan. Some of Sumaiya's prior roles included Executive Director of the Michigan Muslim Community Council, National Communications Director for Engage, Board Member of the Interfaith Leadership Council, Whitmer COVID Commission Working Group, and Whitmer Young Professional Finance Council, both where she helped educate, empower, and engage minority communities through community and political organizing. Sumaiya resides in West Bloomfield with her husband and 3 sons, and she is also a proud lifelong state of Michigan resident. So without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Sumaiya.
Hi, girls, and hi, Girl Scouts of Michigan. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. Can you guys hear me okay? Good? All right. So I know I'm doing a little bit of a speaking engagement with you guys, but I want this to be interactive and I want to be able to answer any questions you have. And hopefully we can leave the speech very empowered and ready to take on the world. You guys are already doing such amazing things. And just, I was on for the past 20 minutes and listening to all the amazing and courageous things that you guys were able to say out loud and put in the chat box. I'm so proud to see such great young women do that. So you have great leaders here on the call, and we're excited to be, helping, giving you all the tools and resources to be anything that you want to be and to do anything that you want to do. And so with that said, like I said, I'm really excited to talk to you today because today's special and it's amazing, just the way you are. You might not realize it yet, but inside every one of you, there's a little spark of magic. And that spark makes you really unique and incredible. And so today I want to remind you to always be proud of who you are because there's no one else in the world that's like you. And as you grow up, you might hear people tell you what you should do, how you should do it like, and how you should act. And if it's your parents, definitely listen to them. But remember, you are the one who gets to decide who you want to be. So if you love painting, if you like sports, if you like reading, if you like politics and seeing what's going on in the world, if you like inventing new games and coding, those are the things that make you unique and make you who you are. So when you get those things and when you learn about yourself, take that and let it shine and give it all the power it needs to even get bigger and better. And so I'll tell you a little story. When I was young, from preschool to 8th grade, I went to a small private school. So there was only about 200 kids in the whole entire school. It was from preschool to 8th grade, and it was a small Islamic school. And so there was a lot of folks in the school that were practicing one faith. A lot of us went to the same mosque growing up. We knew each other. We saw each other at parties, and we all, we just knew each other. It was a comfortable space. But then 8th grade ended, and I had to enter the real world of public high school and meet different types of people that I might not see every day, and people that I might not, maybe it's my neighbor, or, just people that I'm not used to seeing all the time. And so I remember going to high school, I was a little nervous, but I was also really excited because my school that I grew up in always rooted in me and told me, let yourself shine. So don't, doesn't matter what your faith is, what your culture is, what you look like. You have red hair, you have brown hair. Just take that into the world and be yourself and be proud of who you are and tell people about it. And sometimes people may not know about your culture or may not know about why you do things a certain way, but educate people and tell them about it. So I was ready to do that. I was excited. And I remember going to school, and I started in 9th grade, of course, and I went to Avondale High School. So it was right here in Michigan. And when I was there, I remember sitting down in a class, and or after class we went to A lunch, B lunch, and C lunch. And so I went to one of my lunches, and I went in there, and I was excited to open my lunch. And the food I had was a little different. My mom packed me a perfect meal. It was so delicious. I ate it growing up, but it was like rice and we call it biryani. So it's an Indian food, and it's a very delicious Indian food, but it smelled different. It looked different. I remember the kid standing next to me said, "What's that? It looks different. Like that smells kind of weird," and kind of made like a little face. And I was like, I didn't know. I thought everyone ate biryani. I ate it all the time, right? So, but that was a moment when I realized, you know what? This is a great time to tell people about different cultures and where biryani came from and why it is the way it is and why it smells like the way it smells like. And so I decided to join the Interfaith Club. And in the Interfaith Club, we did a diversity show where we got to show, and you guys might have been to a diversity show before. So we got to work with different kids in the school to bring different cultures. So someone from Germany and someone from India and someone from Pakistan and someone from Italy to showcase different types of foods and talk about why those foods are important and talk about, why, where those foods came from. And then we brought food in for people to taste and eat. And it was a way to showcase different people's backgrounds and different people's cultures. And it was really cool. And so I just say that story to say that sometimes, you might walk into a space and you might bring something different to the table. And just because sometimes people might react right away and not understand, that doesn't mean that they're not going to like it. It might just be that they don't know about it. So use your voice, use your powerful voice to tell your story and tell someone about, what that is. And when it comes to, I remember another story where I was in a swimming class, and we went to swimming class at school. And growing up, I never had a swimming class in my smaller school, but in high school, you have swim class with everyone. And I wore something that was a little different. I think I wore like some capris instead of like my full-on bathing suit. And I just didn't wear what everyone else was wearing. And so one of the girls asked me like, hey, why did you get a bathing suit? And I didn't really think about it. And so what did I do? I said, you know what? I remember that sometimes people dress differently too, or they look differently, or they wear things differently. So I just explained to them that this is what I like to wear when I go into the pool. And she was totally cool with it, and it was totally fine. And I say that to say that sometimes we feel like we need everyone else to, or we need to fit in, or we need to be like everyone else. But fitting in doesn't just mean that you need to be like everyone else. It means being yourself and knowing the right friends you have and knowing that those friends will love you for exactly who you are. And when you're true to yourself, you attract people who appreciate you. And those friendships are the ones that last a lifetime. And so be proud of who you are and be proud, be proud of whatever you wear, the earrings, or maybe you wear some shoes that look different than someone else's. But when you have the right friends and when you're around the right people, they will love you for the way that you look and the way that the clothes that you wear and how you are. Another thing I wanted to point out is being proud of who you are also means loving all the things that are different about you. So maybe you have curly hair, freckles, or love to talk about dinosaurs. Maybe you speak another language, like we talked about earlier, or you come from a different culture. Those are not things to be ashamed of or to hide. That's what makes you special. So think of yourself as a beautiful quilt made of many colors and patterns, and each piece is telling a story about who you are. And you're more powerful than you think. Your thoughts, ideas, and dreams are important. Don't be afraid to share them with the world. Like I said, I loved hearing earlier when you were learning about notable women, and everyone had a chance to talk about what makes yourself notable. Because that is who you are, and you're important, and we need your voice. So speak up in class, try new things, and remember that it's okay to make mistakes, because mistakes is how we learn, it's how we grow, and how we become even more amazing. So every time you try something new, you get a little bit braver, a little bit stronger, and a little bit more awesome. And being proud of yourself also means to be kind to others, right? So when you see another girl being herself, cheer her on. I think the best stories and the best moments that I remember growing up was when my mom or my grandma or some of my girlfriends always cheered me on and always wanted me to do great things or always supported me. And so one thing I love to do is I was so excited about this call because anytime I think about a call where I can talk to young girls or I can talk to girls and empower them, it's my favorite thing to do because I think we need more of that. We need more friendships. We don't need to push people away. We need to bring them in together, and we need to cheer them on for all of who they are. We need each other. And so as you cheer them on, when you meet someone who's different from you, be curious and learn from them. Kindness is a superpower that we all have. And when we use it, you guys know that we make this world a better place. Sometimes the world might make you feel small, but I want you to remember that you have the power to change it. Even the smallest of voices can be a big difference. So even if something doesn't feel right, speak up. If you see someone being treated unfairly, stand by their side. And you have the power to make the world a kinder, more loving place just by being yourself. And I think the best part of this the little portion that I talked about is in my current position right now as a head of engagement, we're working with Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who is another really amazing woman who is running the whole state of Michigan. And one of the things that she focuses on is making sure that there are other women on her team that are talking about the issues that affect women and that we are in these, not only in these spaces, but we are making the decisions. We are at the table. And so I want you to know that you can be in whatever space you want to be and look to those notable women like Governor Gretchen Whitmer or like Kelli and Dana on this call who have been guiding you and helping you. They are here to guide you and be there for you. And so use your superpowers, but know that you have help around you to empower you in those spaces. So keeping proud of your silly jokes or your big ideas, your kind heart, and everything that makes you you. There's no one else like you, and that's your superpower. And you're not just future mothers and sisters or daughters, but your future engineers, your writers, your doctors, your entrepreneurs, activists, and anything else you want to aspire to be. Because the world needs you, we need your perspective and your ideas. So don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You're powerful beyond measure. And the first step in realizing that power is to believe in yourself. And so I want to say thank you for being you. And something that I do with my 3 little boys is every morning is something called affirmations. And I go through different affirmations to remind them and to have them say out loud, what is it, why they are so special and what are their superpowers. So I'm going to say a couple of affirmations, and I would love for either you can put it in the chat box or you can say it out loud. I would love to hear some affirmations that make you so amazing. So I'm going to say a couple and then I'll pass it on. So I'll start with my name again. My name is Sumaiya Ahmed Sheikh. I am worthy of respect and kindness. My voice is so powerful and my thoughts are valuable. I have the strength to overcome any challenge, and I believe in myself and I believe in my ability. And I'm going to work every day to make sure that all Michiganders are successful. And so those are my affirmations that I want to end with here before we start with some questions that you guys might have. And so I'll pause it here to see if any of you guys have some affirmations that you want to share. And it looks like we have Anna.
Okay. So some affirmations. Oh, and this is Willow, she's my cousin. So some affirmations that we have is like, I always say that you should always believe in yourself to myself. Like, you should never give up, even like when someone's making you feel down, you just gotta keep pushing through. What are some affirmations? Just things that you say to yourself to make yourself feel better when you're feeling sad. Or when you're feeling like you shouldn't, like you're not good enough. Like you feel like you say like, I can do this. Like just
How about I help you here? So you said, what was the first one that you said, Anna?
So I said I should never give up.
Okay, so when you wake up, I want you to say, okay, so repeat after me. Okay, ready? All right. You can start with saying, hi, I'm Anna and Willow.
Hi, I'm Anna and Willow. I get to say it.
I will never give up.
I will never give up.
I will always believe in myself.
I will always believe in myself.
Because I am amazing.
Because I'm amazing.
So every day when you wake up, I want you to say those 3 things, and then every week you can add 1 more line. All right, Pinky promise you're gonna do that?
Pinky promise.
All right, who's next? All right, Kara.
Are we doing questions? I'm so sorry.
Oh, you can ask a question too, sure.
What is your favorite part about your job and your least favorite part about your job?
Oh, that's a good question. So my favorite part is that I get to work with our wonderful Governor Gretchen Whitmer in what we call appointments. And so what appointments is, long story short, is that we have a bunch of boards and commissions that help regulate and help make the state run. And part of that is we can't just do it alone. The governor can't do it alone. She needs the people on the ground who are working every single day to make this place a better place. She needs their voices at the table. And so I help find those people and put them and recommend them to the governor to be on these boards and commissions to help make those decisions. So I think my favorite part is being to uplift really great Michiganders doing really great things and making sure that they're recognized for all the great things that they're doing. And I think the hardest part of my job, it might seem silly, but I live almost 2 hours from my work. So sometimes driving that far can be really hard and really long, but I use that time to catch up and I call my friends and I call my grandma and, you know, I make the best of the time. But I think sometimes the drive could be hard, but once I get to work at the Capitol, I love it. So does anyone else have a question or if they want to say their affirmations? Of course. Thank you, Kara.
And you can either raise your hand or you're welcome to add them to the chat.
So I can give you a little thing, and maybe as you guys are thinking of some questions, another thing that I get to do that's really cool is to, I guess, how do I say this? So the governor, there's so many places that the governor needs to be, and sometimes the governor can't be there. And so she trusts her staff, so people like me who sit on staff, to go to different places to represent her. And I think that's really cool because sometimes we can't do it all. We need our friends, we need our people that we work with, and we need our people, you know, friends at school to help us out. And so I kind of think of it as a cool thing that I get to sometimes go to these events, or I get to go to visit people's businesses and see the cool things that are happening in Michigan and tell the governor about those cool things if she can't go in person. So I think that's really cool that, you know, those opportunities are there. And I hope that you guys get a lot of opportunities and you share those opportunities with your friends too.
Let's see, did anybody think of any other questions or affirmations that they'd like to share? I'll go ahead and ask a question. What are some challenges you may face in your position and how do you overcome them?
So sometimes I think the biggest challenge is because we have such a beautiful, big, diverse state, there's a lot of people who want a lot of different things. And sometimes we can't get to them all right away. And sometimes something is more important to me than it is to, you know, my colleague or someone else who's working at a business. So how do we figure out how to make everyone happy at one time? And sometimes I take that, you know, the type of person I am, I want to make everyone happy and I want to do as much as I can for everyone. And so that can be a challenge sometimes. But something that has helped me is I always, whenever there's something going on that I feel like I can't get to, you know, 2 or 3 things at one time, I sit down and I kind of take a look at how we can do that thing, but sometimes it's not going to take a day or two. Sometimes it's going to take a year. Sometimes it's going to take 2 years, but developing a plan. And so working with the person or working with that challenge to see, all right, this is a really important thing, and we need to make sure that we work hard to, an example I can give is like our Great Lakes, right? We need to really work hard and make sure that we have beautiful water here in Michigan. How do we keep it safe? How do we keep it clean? And how do we continue educating people about that? And it's not going to happen overnight. We're going to have to do it every single day. We're going to have to remind people to, you know, not throw things in the pond or pick up after yourself or not to dump things in or bad types of things into the water. And so we make a plan of how we're going to do that over time, how we're going to involve more people so that it's not one person doing it alone. So I think, you know, thinking about ways that you can work together to tackle a problem or tackle a solution. Don't put it all on yourself. So I think that's like a challenge that we tend to have at the state, or, you know, working sometimes trying to make everyone happy in the state of Michigan. And sometimes the challenge is also I'm a mom and I work, and I have a sister and I have a family and I have friends, and how do I be all those things at one time? And so I have to remind myself at the end of the day, if I'm happy, other people around me are going to be happy. So I make time for myself every night to just kind of reflect and write in my journal about what were the amazing things that happened and how I can, you know, be resourceful, and what are the things that maybe didn't happen that were so well that I can change. And I think taking that time to myself and making sure that I, you know, take that all in helps me be a better mom and helps me be a friend and a colleague and a sister and a mother. So in this crazy world, you know, in school, you got homework, maybe you're in a club, or maybe you have a friend's birthday party. There's going to be a lot of things that you're going to be involved in, but make sure you take some time for yourself and take a breath, and it's okay. And if you can't do something, just tell people, I can't do that right now, or, you know, communicate yourself. So just take your time to do that. Don't feel like you got to do everything. What are you curious about as a young girl that you believed helped you to the position you hold today? I would say, there's so many things I was curious about. My parents were really politically engaged. And so for people who don't know about that, growing up, I remember going to so many fundraisers to help elect people growing up. And when you're younger, I was just like, great, there's free food and cheese and crackers and all the juices I get to drink that my parents are not going to stop, you know, make me stop drinking. And so I used to be so curious about like why we used to, when I was in around middle school, I used to be so curious, like, why my parents, like, they work so hard and they make all this money, and why are we donating to all these people? And like, what's the point? And then I came to realize that those are the people that shape our policies, and those are the people that are helping me fix the road or the sidewalk. And those are the people that are going to help advocate for me to have better books in school. And so that is probably a time where I started realizing that we have a stake in the way things look around us, and it's important for us to be involved and not just sit at home and yell at the TV about what's going wrong in the world, but actually getting involved. And my parents, that's what they did. They brought me along, even if as a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old, they were like, come to this with me. And they showed me how it works. And I started talking to elected officials, and then I started getting involved in volunteering in campaigns. And by the time I knew it, I was the one who was checking in my parents at the door for fundraisers. And so I started becoming a part of that process. And so I would just say, if there are things that you're curious about, or you're wondering, I wonder how that works, or I wonder what she does at work, or what my dad does here, ask them, and ask them if you can shadow them one day and go into work with them one day and see what that's like. It's good to be curious, and it's good to learn really cool and new things.
Thank you so much. And with that, I think that was our last question that we got added to the chat. Oh, I see a hand got raised. Anna, I'll pass it back to you. Go ahead and unmute. Oh, I think you're still muted. There you go.
It was very fun.
I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you so much for having me. I'm definitely going to stay in touch with Kelly and Dana. Thank you so much for having me. And if I leave you and everything, I just want you guys to know that you guys are powerful and use your voice. I'm so excited to follow your journey, and I will always be there for you. So I will drop my email. So if there's any time you need a volunteer, or anytime you need advice, or anytime you want to come to a fundraiser, because that's still what I do a lot of the time, let me know. And I would be happy to help you guys out. Thank you.
Thank you so much on behalf of GSSEM. It was so wonderful to have you on our call this evening and meet with you and talk with you and just feel inspired by you. So thank you so much. Take care. All right. What a great way to end our session tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen back with you all. So now it's time for surveys. So if you could please take the time to complete the survey, this is how we keep track that you are in attendance tonight if you are working for the MWC custom patch. So we have our girl survey along with our adult survey. Our co-host Dana has added those as well to the chat. And they will be emailed as well. So go ahead, I'll give us a second here if we want to complete it right here. Again, it has been added to the chat as well, the links, and the links will be emailed. So lots of different options. So surveys are a great way that we just keep improving our program here at Girl Scouts. And on to our next slide. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. Please join us, if you can believe it, for our final virtual speaker series, which will take place on Friday, September 27th. And you certainly won't want to miss and the registration link has been added to the chat. I'm not sure as to why this one picture did not appear. So we have 2 guest speakers that will be joining us for our last final session. And the registration link has been added to the chat. I'm going to go ahead and go back to our survey QR codes just in case anybody needs that back up on the screen. But with that, that is our conclusion for this evening's event. Thank you all so much again for taking the time to join us tonight for our 7th Michigan Women's Commission Virtual Speaker Series. And we hope you all will join us for our final speaker series coming up next month on the 27th. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your night, and we'll see you again soon at another Life Skills event. Take care, everybody.